Welcome to The Explainer. What if you could unlock higher states of consciousness, not just through some ancient ritual, but with actual declassified government techniques? Well, today we're diving into a kind of seeker's guide to the cosmos, a journey through some of history's most profound and, frankly, mysterious practices for expanding the mind. Now, the way our source material frames this is pretty cool. It's not a lecture, it's presented as a personal journey. The whole idea is that the universe is just filled with this vast knowledge, and these practices are like different threads we can pull on to start unraveling it all. So, with that in mind, let's jump right in.
So, where do we start? Well, our journey kicks off right inside our own minds, with a practice that got a whole lot of attention after some CIA documents were declassified. It's called the Gateway Operation, and it's a method for expanding consciousness. Yeah, you heard that right, the CIA. At the heart of this process is a technology called Hemi-Sync. The basic idea is you're listening to binaural beats. That's two slightly different sound frequencies, one in each ear. This encourages your brain to sync up and enter these really specific states of awareness. And the source material has this amazing way of putting it. It's like you're synchronizing the quantum waves of your brain to align your consciousness with the fundamental energy of the universe itself.
What's so wild about this is how methodical it all is. It's literally a step-by-step roadmap for your mind. You start by tuning into your own energy, your own vibe, then use Hemi-Sync to get your brainwaves on the right track. And from there, meditation and visualization, they aren't just for chilling out. No, here they're active tools for digging into deeper layers of consciousness. And get this, the documents even talk about how this can literally reshape your brain through neuroplasticity. That's huge.
Okay, so that's the modern kind of tech-heavy approach. But it's just one way in, right? The path for a real seeker often leads to practices that are way older and a whole lot more demanding, disciplines rooted in pure ritual and devotion. Which brings us to something much, much older and way more rigorous, the Abramelin Operation. So we're talking about a practice from a 15th century book here, and believe me, this is not your average weekend meditation retreat. It's an incredibly intense, months-long ritual, and the goal? It's profound. To achieve what the text calls knowledge and conversation with one's holy guardian angel, which is basically their term for the ultimate, highest, most divine version of you. And when I say intense, I mean it. The commitment required here is just wow. You start with isolation. We're talking up to 18 months of it, just to clear out all the noise from the outside world. This is paired with daily prayers and the use of these things called Abramelin squares, symbolic grids that are supposed to channel specific universal energies. And it all builds up to one huge final ceremony, all designed to give you complete mastery over your own inner demons so you can finally connect with the divine. So, the Abramelin is this massive, life-altering event, right? But not all paths see it that way. For some, this kind of transformation isn't a single operation. It's a lifelong process of spiritual refinement. And that brings us to the great work of alchemy, also known as the Magnum Opus. Now, when you hear alchemy, you're probably thinking about turning lead into gold. But our source material is really clear here. This is about something way deeper. It's about refining the human soul. You see, the whole thing is a metaphor. The leaden self they're talking about, that's us. Our ego, our flaws, our shadow side. And the spiritual gold, that's the end goal. A totally illuminated, perfected state of consciousness. And this entire transformation is said to happen across 4 very distinct symbolic stages. So where does this great work begin? Well, it starts in the dark, in a stage called Negredo, the blackening. And yeah, it's as tough as it sounds. This is all about confronting your own shadow, letting your ego dissolve, basically taking apart the entire person you always thought you were. But once you've gone through all that, once you've broken everything down, you emerge into albedo, the whitening. This is the purification stage. It's like you're finally washing your soul clean of all that gunk. And after the cleansing comes the first glimmer of light. This is citrinitas, the yellowing. You can think of it like the sun finally rising, bringing with it this new sense of wisdom and divine insight. And finally, the whole process reaches its peak with rubedo, the reddening. This is it, the grand finale. It represents the complete union of you with the divine. Spirit and matter become one. And the alchemist, well, they've finally created that spiritual gold. This entire alchemical journey, it's all built on one of the most famous esoteric principles out there, from the Emerald Tablet. As above, so below. As within, so without. So what does that really mean? It's the idea that the universe is basically a giant mirror. If you want to change your outer reality, you absolutely have to start by transforming your inner world.
Now, there's a common thread that seems to run through a lot of these really intense practices, and it's all about harnessing a very specific, very powerful kind of life force. This leads us to the Vedic practice of Brahmacharya. Now, a lot of people hear that and just think, oh, celibacy. But the sources we're looking at describe it as something much, much deeper. It's the art of taking your most potent creative energy, your sexual energy, and instead of just dissipating it, you learn to conserve it and redirect it upwards. You're basically turning it into fuel for your spiritual growth. So, okay, how does that actually work? Well, step 1 is conservation. You're holding on to that vital energy. Step 2 is transmutation. This is the magic part. You're consciously converting that raw energy into fuel for creativity or spiritual awakening or just pure cognitive power. And the texts claim this isn't just a mental trick. It can have a real neurological impact, helping to rewire the brain. The ultimate goal is to get your subconscious on board, to align all your deepest drives with self-realization, not just fleeting desires.
Okay, so we've been talking about ancient alchemy, 15th century rituals, Vedic practices, but what does any of this have to do with today? Well, what's really fascinating is how these old, esoteric ideas are popping up again in some very modern fields.
I mean, just look at the parallels here between the CIA's Gateway process and the super popular work of Dr. Joe Dispenza today. They're both founded on quantum principles and the power of meditative states to alter reality. The CIA's goal was to explore reality. Dispenza's goal is to shape it. It's an absolutely striking convergence of thought, even though they're separated by decades. Kind of makes you think, doesn't it?
So what's going on here? Is this all just a big coincidence, or are we seeing some kind of evolution in our collective consciousness? You know, the sources we've looked at today seem to suggest that whether you're talking about ancient alchemy, declassified science, or modern spirituality, these are all just different paths leading toward the same destination, a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the cosmos.
And in the end, that's what all these paths really offer you, a choice. They give you these incredible frameworks, these maps for connecting with the cosmos. But they also leave us with a huge, lingering question. Is this a map to enlightenment, a direct path to ultimate truth? Or is it a map that simply leads us deeper into the beautiful, complex, and fascinating maze of our own minds?